All right, RMP, thank you so much for joining me today. I am Chrissy Brooks, Northern Plains Health and Safety, and today on the RMP call, we are going to talk about the wetting protocol. So, how do I wet down the contents of my green lab pack? Where am I going to find out if I need to wet down that lab pack? Why would I need to wet down the contents of my green bags? Where do I find out how to wet those contents down? Then we're going to break each step down. How do I notify Veolia / Avantor, who are basically the same for all purposes, for our purposes. We'll say for our purposes, Veolia and Avantor are the same company. Avantor does the analysis, the computer stuff. Veolia is the semi-truck that comes and picks our buckets and barrels up. That's kind of how we'll look at them, separate them. And then what is the absolutely cannot forget to do last step when I'm performing the wetting protocol? And then this is not a half an hour call. It's only going to be about 17 to 20 minutes, depending upon how long I ramble. So go get your hypo done. Please, please, please go get your hypo done for this week. So where am I going to find out that I need to wet the contents of one of my damages? It is going to show up right here on your unconfirmed summary. We need to be checking our team email box every day, especially if we have pending items, so that if we have an unconfirmed summary come in, we know what we need to do with it. The rules of the DMP are whatever emails come in, we handle them within 24 hours. So if you are getting this unconfirmed summary, it looks like you've got 2 damages from 5/21 that both need the contents soaked. And that's where we find out, right here on your unconfirmed summary. So why? Why on earth would I need to wet down the contents of this damage? Well, the first reason is because most of things that we're putting into our green bags with our solidified material are combustible. Things like cardboard, paper towels, stir sticks, craft paper that they use to pack around it, lots of different things that we could potentially put into that green bag that would catch on fire. So a lot of times if you've got something that's a flammable or something that's an oxidizer, they're going to ask you to wet down the contents. Not always, so don't just automatically do it. Wait until you hear from Avantor / Veolia that that's what you need to do before you go ahead and just start wetting things down. Sometimes they will ask you to remove that combustible material, completely remove it from the original green bag, and then you're going to create a new DMN for the combustible material after you soak it. That situation is usually either something that is highly flammable that they are concerned is going to catch on fire in the green bag, something that is highly reactive, so something that could cause a fire, something like that, or something that having that combustible material in there and wetting it down inside of the same green bag is going to cause a reaction to the chemical that we solidified. So multiple reasons that it might ask you to separate combustible material from the solidified material. Another reason is because the DOT requires hazardous waste to be a certain concentration. So it's possible that the chemical that we have in our green bag is too highly concentrated for us to transport it as a hazardous waste. Obviously, it was fine to transport it in its original state, but as a hazardous waste, we need to dilute it with water so that we can then ship it out and have Veolia come and pick it up from us. Not ship it out. We don't ship stuff out. Sorry. Have Veolia come and pick up this hazardous waste from us. So those are really the two reasons that Avantor / Veolia is going to ask you to wet down a damage. So where am I going to find information on how to do this wetting protocol? Because there is indeed a protocol, a step-by-step how you are supposed to perform the wetting of these damages. So you're going to navigate to Appendix N of our quick reference guide, which is right there on your main ETT page, right up in the upper right-hand corner. We're going to click on that, find Appendix N, and then you're just going to follow Appendix N to the T. Do exactly what it tells you to do. So we are going to jump in to each one of these steps individually. And hey, I made a fun video. I have not got it edited yet, but I did make a video of the wetting protocol. So look for that to come on my YouTube channel. So breaking down the steps a little bit further, we are going to obtain our damage. So we're going to take, whether it's in our bucket or whether it's in our spill tray, we are going to take that damage and then we are going to grab 2 additional green DMP bags. So we're going to have our original damage, that's bag number 1. Then we're going to have bag number 2 and bag number 3. You're going to open up bag number 2 and you're going to put the original damage, bag number 1, inside of it. Then you're going to open up bag number 3 and you're going to take bag number 2 and bag number 1 and put them inside of bag number 3. So you're going to have your original damage inside of bag number 2, which is inside of bag number 3. The reason we triple bag is so that we do not have any kind of seepage. No leakage, no seepage, nothing coming out of those green bags. It's like a triple insurance policy that we're not going to lose any of our contents outside of the green bag. Step 2, we are going to take our triple bagged damage and set it inside of a gray spill tub. Step 2 is very easy. So your damage might already be in a gray spill tub. Hey, awesome. Step 2 is already done for you then. So pretty self-explanatory on step 2. Step 3, you are going to cut a small hole in the top of bag number 1, your original green bag with the damage inside of it, that is big enough that you would be able to pour water into it, pour a stream of water into it safely. So in this picture, I am cutting open the gooseneck of my pretend damages. As you see, I do not have my PPE on, which is wrong. You should be wearing your PPE the entire time that you are handling a green bag. So anytime from the time that you start touching that green bag until it is taped up, goosenecked, and back on the pending shelf, you need to have your protective equipment on. So we're going to cut a small hole, cut open the gooseneck, whatever it is that works best for you. And then we got it in our in our gray spill tub. And as you can see in the picture here, I've got bag number 1, the one I'm cutting open. Then I've got a second bag and I've got a third bag. That is our triple insurance policy. So step 4, we are going to pour cool, clean water into the green bag. In this picture, I am using one of our Zepsorbent measuring cups. I think they hold about a quart and a half of water. So they are perfect for wetting protocol. You can take that container over to your mop sink, your drinking fountain. I actually did this one in a drinking fountain and it takes a long time, but you can do it. So wherever it is that you have access to clean, fresh water, we want to pour clean, fresh, cold water into our green bag. And you are going to pour this water in until you have free liquid floating around inside of that bag. So if you've got a lot of Zepsorbent in there or a lot of extra Zepsorbent, maybe you're like me and you don't measure your Zep and you just dump some into the gray spill tub. So you end up with extra, more than what you needed. Zepsorbent is incredibly absorbent, which is great for damages, not so great when you have too much of it and you're trying to wet down your damage. So it might take a lot of water. I didn't even have any Zepsorbent in here. My pretend damage was 2 cardboard boxes and some craft paper, some packing material, and it still took me to get that cardboard all the way wet and to get that craft paper so that it was sopping, soaking, dripping wet, which is what we want. It took me about 1.5 quarts, almost 2 full quarts of water to do that. So you're probably going to use a little bit more water than you think that you are going to. So we want to make sure that we've got that free liquid floating in the bag. So next step, you are going to take your 3 separate green bags and you are going to do 3 separate goosenecks. So we're going to re-gooseneck where we cut open bag number 1. That's why I like to cut open the gooseneck and not just a random place on the bag, so that I can re-gooseneck it. Then we're going to gooseneck bag number 2. Then we're going to gooseneck bag number 3. Then we're going to place that damage either back into our bucket or onto our unconfirmed shelf back in its gray spill tub. Once we've got the goosenecks on it, we need to weigh that damage. The weight of it has definitely changed. 2 quarts of water is about 4 pounds. So we need to make sure that we are weighing it on our digital scale, and then we're going to edit our DMN and change the weight closest to the 1/10 of a pound. And also in these drum sites, you're probably going to take new measurements as well. Because if you're adding 2 quarts of water to your green bag is probably going to grow. So make sure that you're getting new measurements and that you are getting new weight for your damage. So we have a handful of steps that we go into our unconfirmed DMN. This is why on the hypothetical, I ask you, do you know how to find an unconfirmed, do you know how to find a DMN that's been submitted? I can't think of the exact wording of the question off the top of my head, but this is where you find your DMN. We go in through ETT, through the search and update, search by our temporary ID. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to click this edit button down here in the lower right-hand corner. Next, we are going to uncheck any contents if they ask us to remove things. So if we were removing combustible materials from this damage, we would uncheck cardboard, we would uncheck plastic bag. If you had other things in here, you would also uncheck those, everything that you took out of your original green bag. Then we are going to check mark this container with liquid. Granted, we do not have the original container, so the liquid is not coming from the container, but we have to notify Veolia that there is going to be liquid inside of this bag because they treat liquid present damages a little bit different than they do damages that are completely dry. So we check that container with liquid present, and then down here is unabsorbed liquid present. We're going to click the yes button on that one as well because we do have unabsorbed liquid. We're going to adjust our weight to the new weight that includes our water. And then if you need to adjust your dimensions, if you are in a barrel or bag site, that is what you are going to adjust. Then in your comments, you are going to put something along the lines of contents wetted, water added, wetting protocol performed. something that lets Veolia and Avantor know that we have added water, just like they asked, to this damage. So once we have all of that done, we are going to click our resubmit button. Then we're going to click our view form and we're going to print a new copy of this. We need to print a new copy to put into our file folder, and we need to print a new copy to put into our bag and tag. We need to make sure that our bag and tag has an accurate weight and accurate dimensions on it, as well as that it shows that it has been edited, that we have completed that wetting protocol. So, what is your absolute cannot forget to do last step? Communicate. Communicate with your fellow RMPs, with your fellow responders, with someone like me or my health and safety team that might come in, with someone like corporate environmental. If I walk into your building and maybe you're an extended center and all that's there in the middle of the day when I arrive is your PT-PCS that really doesn't know anything about damages. They're not going to be able to answer my question, why has this damage been sitting here for 5 days? I'm going to go to your file folder first, and I'm going to look and see, is something going on with this damage? Is something documented on the outside of the file folder? In this situation, so damage was submitted on 9/6. On 9/7, they got the email that it needed to be wetted. So on 9/7, this responder wetted down their contents and then they resubmitted. The only thing that I would also like on your file folder is your name, either your name or your initials, so that I can go back and find Miss PT-PCS that isn't sure what's going on with damages, and I can show her the file folder and ask her, which responder is this? Do you know this person? Because I need to talk to them. Maybe I have a question for you, something like that. So I also want to know who it was that performed the wetting protocol and resubmitted. That way, if there's an issue or I have questions, or hey, maybe I just want to congratulate them and say, you did an excellent job. So make sure that you are putting your name along with your communication on the outside of your file folders. Hypo help. I am going to begin on probably Sunday evenings, maybe Monday mornings, first thing, going through the hypothetical on my YouTube channel. So I will bring up the hypo. I will show you how to do it. We'll walk through it step by step. I'll give you some of the extra little details, extra little nuances about this particular situation, whatever the hypothetical situation is. So please go check out my YouTube channel. I've got previous RMP calls on there. I've got helpful videos about PPE, about wetting protocol, about audits, all different kinds of things on there. So please go check out my YouTube channel. I do it for you guys. I don't mind being in front of the camera, even though I have my camera off right now. And I love sharing my knowledge with you guys. So I want you to be successful. I want you to be confident in the DMP. I want you to understand what you're doing, not be confused. So that's why I make all of these different ways to get the information available. I want you to be successful. And if you need my help with that, please, absolutely reach out. Give me a call, shoot me an email, send me a text. That's probably the best way to get me, is a text or an email. But I do answer my phone when you need me. So please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out. And last slide, I know it's everybody's favorite. Please make sure that you are getting your attendance recorded if you have made it through the entire call. I foresee that this YouTube and video and being able to watch the RMP call is perhaps the way of the future of the RMP call. I cannot promise you that it's going to be strictly YouTube and that there's not going to be a call, but I do like putting it onto YouTube because it gives you the opportunity to come back to it. maybe in a month and a half or 2 months, you're going to get a request to wet down a damage. And you're going to say, gosh, I remember Chrissy covered that on an RMP call. I'm going to go back to her YouTube channel and look at it again, just so I make sure that I'm doing this correctly. And that's why I do it. That's why I put it out there for you guys, so that you guys can go through it on your own time. You can stop it if the phone rings, you get interrupted, whatever the situation is. Again, I just want you guys to be successful, and giving you all of the information that I possibly can, hopefully will give you some more confidence in the DMP. Again, please, please, please reach out with any questions. I am always available to my RMPs and my responders to help you guys out, to make you guys be more successful. So thank you so much for being here. I really enjoy doing these calls for you and spreading my knowledge. And I really appreciate you taking the time to go through and watch the material. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we will see you all next Wednesday.